the nihilism of this country has just taken over, and all the gains that we thought we had are getting reversed. And now Trump is going to go even further back. Like, not only is the progressive stuff getting reversed, but we're going back to, like, a much more racist time legislatively. Want to feel old? 2020 was 5 years ago, right? And it really felt like America was playing by a whole different rule set. It does feel like that again now, for different reasons, but largely the same reasons, right? COVID really divided us, and I feel like George Floyd is kind of like the symbol of the division of that time. Um, and now that, fascists are back in charge, they want to relitigate the past and kind of retroactively say that this injustice that we as a nation corrected, somehow doesn't count, and how we should reverse that completely.
Tonight about new civil unrest over the murder of George Floyd. This month marks 5 years since his death sparked protests and riots here locally and around the world. And the city, county, and state are preparing for new potential protests.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just coming from the fact that people in the right wing sphere are desperately wanting Trump to own the libs by releasing a cop that executed someone in the street, like while a begging crowd asked him to stop, right? It's probably just a lot of smoke and mirrors, honestly, especially considering the fact that even though Chauvin has federal charges, he also has state charges. And Tim Walz, the wannabe vice president this time around, is the governor there. So there's like no way that he's gonna let him skate on his state charges. But I mean, Trump is kind of lawless. Like, he kind of has been doing whatever he wants. So I wouldn't call it impossible, honestly.
Jay Coles is here to explain why. Jay?
Yeah, Kevin, multiple sources tell me there are two things driving this. First, in recent weeks, we've seen calls from conservative commentators for President Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. Second, sources tell me,
which is so ridiculous, but I mean, that's how you influence world politics now. Like, you just become a podcaster and tell your dumbass fans what you think. I mean, I'm doing it right now. Like, that's just how we communicate now for some reason. Like, they're getting rid of all the malls. This is the only way we can even talk to each other, is like through our phones and shit. So
the city of Minneapolis is almost certain the Department of Justice next week will move to end its consent decree over the MPD because it's happened in other cities. So preparations are happening now, just days before the 5th anniversary of George Floyd's murder. This is what Minneapolis looked like after former...
Yo, I mean, it's largely exaggerated how bad the George Floyd, like, protest and some of them riots were. But I can't deny, sometimes that shit did get kind of crazy. Like, were whole cities burned and destroyed overnight? No, but, like, if you're actually in it, like, people were wilding. There's a couple of times people were wilding. Mostly the police, though. They were shooting at us. They were shooting gas at us and stuff. Rubber bullets and shit. Like, that was actually kind of messed up.
MPD officer Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd, and it's something state and city leaders do not want to see happen again. I spoke with 6 total sources today. They tell me Governor Tim Walz, the Minnesota National Guard, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Mayor Jacob Frey, and Hennepin County Sheriff DeWanna Witt have all been briefed on a potential Chauvin pardon and the possible end to the federal consent decree that called for extensive reform at MPD.
And it's so crazy that, because in 2020, like, the main zeitgeist opinion was that the police were out of control and black people had been mistreated, and it hasn't fully been rectified, right? So crazy, literally so crazy that we had gotten to that point, especially being black, and it really felt like some big changes were happening, like police reform, laws were becoming rapidly popular. But 5 years later, just the nihilism of this country has just taken over, and all the gains that we thought we had are getting reversed. And now Trump is going to go even further back. Like, not only is the progressive stuff getting reversed, but we're going back to, like, a much more racist time legislatively.
And tonight, law enforcement is now preparing for possible civil unrest if those two things happen.
And here's the thing, it's like civil unrest. They're worried about riots, but if a cop that executed an innocent civilian in the street getting freed doesn't cause a riot, then maybe your country is just kind of cooked, right? Like, and obviously I don't think it's good for, rioters to like destroy private or public property, but I think it's the reaction that people have for a very natural reason, for a very real reason. It should be making us mad. Like, it should be making those people mad. Maybe they wouldn't be rioting if, BS wasn't happening. You ever think about that? I don't know.
Mayor Fry is not talking about those plans, but as Commissioner of Community Safety, Todd Barnett, in a statement says, quote, "We've heard the same rumors as everyone else, but the bottom line is that Derek Chauvin would remain behind bars serving his state sentence even if his federal charges are pardoned. To be clear, we have no credible intelligence about any pardon or planned disruptions here in Minneapolis." Sources tell me the Minnesota Department of Corrections would be ready to take Chauvin from a federal penitentiary in Arizona to...
Wow, he's here in Arizona, huh? Let's go on a trip, guys. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Oak Park Heights maximum security prison here in Minnesota. Attorney General Ellison telling MSNBC over the weekend, Chauvin's not going free.
He still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years, and he's going to do it either in Minnesota or somewhere, but he's not getting out.
Then on Monday,
And then also too, it's like I love how everyone's just assuming that Trump is capable of doing this. Like, he would spend no political capital on doing this at all. He let domestic terrorists free. Right? So it's like it's really not a stretch to think he would actually do this.
Governor Walz told reporters,
no indication whether they're going to do it or not, but I think it behooves us to be prepared for it with this presidency, that it seems like that might be something they would do.
And in March, White House reporters asked Trump if he would pardon Chauvin.
Your allies are calling on you to pardon Derek Chauvin. Are you considering pardoning Derek Chauvin?
No, I haven't even heard about it.
Another thing that he hasn't heard about, whether or not it's his job to enforce the Constitution. He hasn't heard about that. He hasn't heard about anything. He doesn't do his job. Like, he lets younger, more evil people do it for him. Trump will do whatever Stephen Miller tells him to do. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's time for some hard-hitting analysis from Tim Pool.
Democrats are on high alert. Minnesota is preparing for potential riots as rumors have begun to circulate that Donald Trump will pardon Derek Chauvin. I'm not sure I think it's actually going to happen, but this is the story that's...
It could. I mean, Trump is capable of anything. He's literally the most unpredictable leader this country has ever seen.
Being reported on numerous outlets. Most importantly, Minnesota and Minneapolis are taking this very seriously. Personally, I think Donald Trump should pardon Derek Chauvin.
Of course you think that. Of course you think that.
On the merits. Some have argued, we've had these conversations, that Trump shouldn't do it. And the reason is it's political death.
Nothing can politically hurt Donald Trump at this point in time. He's actively defying the Supreme Court. He's wiping his ass with the rule of law. Like, he's talking about suspending habeas corpus. Like, he wants to run for a third term. It's like, why would this hurt him at all? Like, who is this going to hurt him with? His voters are all fascists. Like, whether they realize it or not, they're all fascists. Like, this isn't going to hurt him.
It's going to be really bad for the Donald Trump administration if he pardons a guy largely perceived by the black community as having just killed an innocent, unarmed black man.
Perceived? Like, what was the perception? That's what happened.
Whether it's true or not.
Whether it's true or not? What do you mean? That's what happened. It was proven in a court of law.
And so I think it was Hotep Jesus, who was on Timcast RL, who said, listen, knock down a wall in the prison, give Chauvin a double wide, bring in some beautiful women and say, this is your life for now, but we're going to make it comfortable. Me, I don't know that I take the utilitarian approach, and probably would take more of a...
This motherfucker can't even spell utilitarian.
Deontological approach. Derek Chauvin should not be in prison. And I've got the facts and the details to break down why.
Let's see these facts.
Several
Let's
months
see these
ago,
details.
Ben Shapiro came out and called for the pardon of Derek Chauvin at the federal level by the Trump administration. Many people thought this was a terrible idea. Why would you bring this up now? Chauvin's not even in the news, but Ben is correct. You don't kind of like the guy, but he's right. Chauvin should not be.
I don't like the guy. Yo, it's so funny that even in this circle of dweebs, Ben Shapiro is still like the mega dweeb. He's like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. Like, he's the nerdiest nerd. Like, even they don't like him.
In jail. And let me show you all the details. Let me keep it simple as we get started. Chauvin arrived after the fact. Chauvin arrived with George Floyd already having a resisted arrest, being on the ground and restrained, and he engaged in a practice that Minneapolis police had trained police to do.
The Minneapolis Police Department came in to testify and said that's not what you're supposed to do. Look, this is an appeal to like the rules and stuff, but it's important not to like let go of just like the moral truth that you don't pin someone begging for their life with your knee while people beg you to stop. Like, that's wrong. Like, you know what I mean? You don't do that, especially as if not you're an agent of the state. Like, you can't do that. You know, that's not justice. That's not what we do here.
Now, one can make the argument that Chauvin applied it incorrectly, and he did bad. He exhibited poor.
Not even done correctly. It's like what he was doing is not allowed. Like, the person doing the training said it's not allowed. I mean, I guess you could say, oh, he did that for political expediency or whatever. But, I mean, cops pretty much take care of each other, right? Like, you know, this wasn't really controversial with the police until the Republicans decided to make it so.
Poor judgment. And you can hold the police department, in my opinion, responsible for this. The issue here is, one, George Floyd did have a lethal level of fentanyl in his system.
He did not. He did not. Toxicologist came in. He did not. That's a lie. He's lying.
And I've got the facts to back that up and prove it. I'll show you. The argument is the system is broken. And I believe the reason that all of the other officers, as well as Chauvin, were convicted was because the police department did not want to take responsibility for a practice that they believe, well, I don't think they thought it was wrong. I think the people didn't like it.
The people didn't like it when we kneeled on their necks until they died. Those snowflake people. Don't the people know that they live to serve the state? Don't the people know that they live to serve us, the police officers that rule over them? Those stupid people, why can't they figure it out?
And they didn't want to accept responsibility, so they made Chauvin their martyr. Chauvin was then criminally charged at the federal level.
And then also, too, it's like, it's not like this was a routine application of this, right? The guy was very clearly restrained. There were 6 other people. There were 6 other officers on deck. Like, you feel me? It's like they could have taken him. They could have taken him. He didn't have to kneel on him like that. Like, he just didn't have to. He just didn't have to. He did something that he didn't have to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the police are allowed to handcuff you, but they can't leave you in the handcuffs for a year and a half. That's an improper application. Like, you feel me? Even if that practice is okay, like, you know what I mean? It's like he still abused the practice. Like, you know, what are you even saying here?
And while in federal prison, was stabbed 22 times.
No comment. Let's not get banned here.
I'm going to break this story down for you.
That poor baby.
The story of George Floyd is a tragedy. It is. But we're talking about
The story of Tim Pool is a tragedy. What?
Man that was chewing on what's called a speedball, meth and fentanyl, behind the wheel of a car. They claim he was only stopped because he tried to use a counterfeit 20. The police...
Yeah. I mean, that's the police report. That's why they came. That's objectively true.
Found him behind the wheel of a car with drugs. And he spat the speedball out in the back of his car. They found it. They found the drugs in his system.
They did find drugs in his system. They didn't find, not to my knowledge, they didn't find drugs in his car. I mean, I think that would be a more established talking point if that's really what it came down to, But again, it's like the drugs in his system weren't relevant in his death. You know what I mean? It's like he was a drug addict, is what it's looking like just from like his blood screening. But why would a drug addict suddenly OD here? I don't even think there's a history of him ODing to my knowledge,
Resisted arrest. The police were authorized to use a taser on George Floyd. Again, I got the proof to back it up. We tracked all of this. Why this man went to prison is obvious.
Right.
It was political. 15% off at fast growing.
Whatever.
Donald Trump could pardon the federal charges. We could see what happens. More importantly, Harmeet Dillon could bring about civil rights claims against Minnesota at the state level for violating the rights of Derek Chauvin, which they did, and I can prove it with a statement from the judge. I got it all pulled up, my friend.
I'm so annoyed with him saying, I can prove this, I can prove that, I can prove this. All right, can you just show it on the screen? Like, why? Like, what are you preambling this for? Like, this video's 30 minutes long. If you just cut out all the times that he pushed off the information that he claimed to have, it would be like 10 minutes long, yo. Jesus. Your fans stand up for this? Only worst podcast I've seen is this one.
Friends, he outright said there will be no fairer trial anywhere in this state. I'm not kidding. And they still played this game, with jurors being brought into court under armed guard, razor wire fences, and riots. That was not a fair trial.
I mean, the thing is, it's like, okay, I understand, like, let's entertain the question, right? Okay, is it a fair trial if everyone knows about it and public opinion is largely against you? Maybe not. Like, maybe not in, like, the perfect sense. But the question is this. Like, we live in a world where viral moments are known to everyone through the window of reality that is our cell phones, right? This is during COVID. People have nothing to do, and the news is more amplified than ever before. And the reason why he's controversial is because the act happens on camera, clear as the day, clear as the sun in the sky, right? He's kneeling on this guy until he dies. That's in the video. Like, you know, it's hard not to be biased by that. Like, you know, and people are upset. Like, you feel me? If you do something so bad that people protest you, it's not like we don't try you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we still have to try you. We're just going to do our best here, you know? And that's just is what it is. Like, you feel me? He got state and federal charges. Like, he got slapped twice. Like, clearly, like, he sucks. Like, you feel me? Clearly, his case was not compelling. Like, you know?
But I digress. I don't think Trump's going to do. Maybe he will. And maybe the reason that they're actually prepping for this is because Trump has indicated he wants to make this move. Maybe the
Has he? Has he? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he totally would, but I mean, why would he? He would do it if it was politically expedient to him, which he needs he needs brownie points politically, like pretty much all the time, just because he's trying to distract from the illegal things that he's doing. You know, it's the most corrupt presidential administration in American history, and like he just needs to distract you. So, oh, movies are tariffed. Oh, Derek Chauvin's free. Oh, you know, so maybe he would, maybe he won't.
The reason Ben Shapiro came out and made this statement is that he knows something we don't. Indeed. When asked by White House reporters in March about pardoning Chauvin, President Trump said, no, I have not heard about that.
Which he totally has heard about it. Like, this is such, number one, it's very effective on his part, so good for him. But it's like so confusing just knowing that the president has heard of everything you're talking about, but he can just claim that he's pleading the fifth. Like, you know what I mean? As if he's not like a servant to the public. And then, you know, come open your news feed, you know what I mean? Smiles are illegal. And it turns out he did hear about it. Like, I don't know. I just think it's disgusting that this South Park character come to life, Tim Pool, is just reveling in the idea of a murderer armed by the state going free, and just reversing that justice is something to be celebrated. You know, I was hoping there were some arguments to debunk, but I can't stand to listen to this anymore. So that's it.